Hey, hey, hello, and good morning, and welcome everyone. Congratulations, Violet, for being first. Woo! Hello, hello. I'm sorry because of the ads. I always start the stream with a 3-minute ad break, so we will get pre-rolls off for an hour. But since it's just the Wawas anyway, that's why I do it. So it fits, so you don't have to do it now. Welcome, welcome, people. Yes, I did have some test thingies. I was trying to set up a stream thing. Thank you so much. Bobby is back.
I am back from a busy month.
Indeed. Welcome back, Bobby. The class pet has survived. Welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for the sub. I appreciate it so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And someone is here. Hello, many people are here. We have Katakai. Good morning. Jen is here, but Jen has to leave. But thank you for coming anyway, and good luck with your appointment. And Tammy is here. And Verbinton. And now someone. Hello. Hello, hello. But we are very ready for some more reading today, are we not? Yes, we are. Of course we are. Super excited for some more reading. Are we doing script reading? Of course we are. We always start off with some script reading. My beautiful script. Oh damn, you oh shit, you actually okay. Yes. Is there anything you can tell me? The red light was interesting. Was there a lot of red lights though? Was your teacher with you the whole time? Still can't fucking. It's amazing. Just woman standing behind glasses. You know, that's mild. But okay. I love that you like. I imagine it as your teachers. Like this is like this is educational purpose, so that your teacher does like a full fucking, you know, guide. It's like, and here we have the women behind the glass. Both of them were with us. Oh, of course. Amazing. Amazing. I would love to be on that trip. Of course. I can tell that he's pretty chill. I can tell. Like, does the school know about this? Like, is this normal? It's like, yes, of course we will go here. Or will there be repercussions? Like, do you feel like, oh my god. Yes, Bobby, do. We also read Cleo's novel, but he only has 6 chapters. But those are uploaded as well. We will continue with those whenever he releases more chapters. But right now he's on a hiatus. Well, the drinking, no. The red light, I'm not so sure. Oh, I want to be in the teacher meeting afterwards. Like, okay, so this class went to the red light district. Do you want to talk about that more? Hmm? What were the thoughts behind this? Hmm? But yes, Bobby, the VODs are up, edited as well. Hell yes. See you then, Bobby. I will stream tomorrow, by the way. Streaming tomorrow because Thursday is a holiday. So tomorrow will be the last stream of the week. Educational purposes. Totally. I bet you were educated. I bet you've seen things you've never seen before. We got a lot to watch then. Yes. We've read 15 chapters, but they're pretty long. Compared to what we read before, at least. Why is Thursday a holiday? It's some Christian. I don't know what it's called in English. I don't know what it does even. It's called Kristi Himmelsfärdsdag. I don't fucking know what it is. I will look it up right now. Let's see what it is. What is this? Why do we do this? In English, it's called Ascension. Christ's Ascension. It's Ascension Day. Or Holy Thursday, it's also called. Wait, are you Austrian? I am not Austrian. I'm Swedish. I'm Swedish from Sweden, but I live in Germany. I moved there last year. Hello, Diamond Cat. Good day. Have a great night, Bobby. See you tomorrow. Hello, Massy Egg. Won't stay, unfortunately, because I have to catch up on the VODs and don't want to spoil myself. Understandable. But thank you so much for showing up anyway. I appreciate it. It doesn't sound normal to me. I don't know, it was a holiday in Germany too. I just thought that was an Austrian Catholic thing. Uh-huh. Well, I know it from Sweden, but apparently it's off. I didn't like, I was like, I just know Sweden. In Sweden, it's a red day on Thursday, but I assumed that since it's fucking Ascension Holy Thursday Day, it would just be many countries and not, it's not a Swedish holiday. Oh, you were in Sweden. Where were you? 17-hour drive. Fuck that. I would not do that. Beautiful country though, thank you. I think so too. I flew there. I was there. I was visiting my family almost not last was it last week? Nah. No, it wasn't last week because I've been here a week now. It was the week before last week. Then I was there for a week, and whenever I was in the plane there or on my way back, and I was looking over Sweden, I'm like, the trees, the water, the lakes. I like it. Sweden is just not real, right? It's a made-up country. I made up. I don't even live there, so obviously it isn't real. But okay, script reading. Are we ready for some script reading? We are. We are the youth of the nation. Maybe I should sing today. Maybe I shouldn't. Or maybe we played some Monster Hunter yesterday. That was pretty fun. Maybe I'll just continue to do that. I am writing a fanfic for Shadow Slave. And my brother just read the first chapter. He said it's quite epic. I'm all giddy and kicking my feet in the air. Holy shit, a fanfic for Shadow Slave. You should be giddy, kicking your feet. That sounds amazing. Oh my, yes, please. Is Harris in it? I need Harris. Harris the goat. Okay, yawn. Okay, now I'm ready. Script. Script reading. Last time on Growing Lilies, Lily decided to name her seal Michael Bay. Bay for short. Then more weird things start to happen. She sees that her boat is named Beloved Lily, which is very, very weird. Who did this and how? She decides to break into a house and use it as her home base, cause she really wants to own chickens and a cow. She heads out to find a farm where she also finds a dog that she doesn't want but decides to name it anyway. She gives him the name Star, since he has dark fur on his forehead shaped like a star. Most of the farmland has been burnt away, except for one area, shaped like a circle with glyphs. Almost fuck! I hate when I fuck up in the recap. It makes me so annoyed. What have I written down? What's meant for the way except for one area shaped like a circle with grids, almost as if it. If. Shit. Okay. Most of the farmland has been burned away, except for one area, shaped like a circle with glyphs, almost as if it has some sort of protective barrier around it. She takes the ever burning flame into the circle and it starts to burn once again, and she discovers mana and gets more convinced that magic is now real. Lily and Star rounds up some chickens to bring home. Upon arriving, she starts experimenting with magic. She starts noting down the glyphs that she saw, and by doing so, creates magic. A mana ball that explodes. Star manages to save Lily from the explosion and gets away with a cut in her hand, but her life intact. I don't remember Britain recaps being a thing. It is now. It is a thing. We are back with the stuttering. Hell yeah. The seal's name is Bay. Michael Bay. I just finished the first nightmare. Wait, are you going like from start to finish? Like, I don't even know what the fanfic is about though. You should read Marshall Peak. Never heard of it. Where is it located? It's a manhwa. Oh, it's long. It's a novel. Okay, yeah, but when I Google it, I only think it's on Amazon, which is already a bad sign. I don't want to fuck with Amazon. It's cultivation. Oh no! No! Novel. It's on Novel Bin. It's not on. It's on Web Novel, so that's a no. I'm sorry. I'm not fucking around with Web Novel anymore. Sadly. Sadly. Even though they were kind of cool about it. No! As it is right now, I have one more novel that I have been okayed to read. I was shit on web novel today, I died. No! I'm not encouraging shitting on anything. I'm just saying how it is though. And I realized I do need my phone to write down timestamps, so I will go get it real quick. Well, I said on any one, I didn't say on anything. 28 mils as we talk. I was like a little bit, not really scared, but I was like a little bit, I was wondering a little bit. I was like, I wonder if someone will. If someone will. I still get, sure, I've been uploading like, what, 4 new YouTube videos, and I took the videos down. And then every fucking video is like, wait, what happened to the Shadows Day videos? It's like, I understand, I've said it so many times. I'll mention you in all of them. Yes, as in, she told me to write this. uh. She sent me trust. I did this. I watched the Guilty 3 interview with, like, the web novel interview with they had with Guilty 3, and the web novel glaze is so hard. Like, it's insane to me. Like, it's so less. Like, not what he says, but they are very much like, which is your favorite platform? Say web novel. And he's like, web novel. And they're like, yay! It's like, what the fuck is this? It feels so weird. And then he is just amazing. Right? He's super cute. He seems so nice. And like, from what I've talked to him as well, in DMs and stuff, and on stream, as you've seen, like, he's like, I'm really just a guy. And I'm like, yeah, but you're such a nice guy. And then I feel bad watching that clip, because it feels like that interview feels so like a web novel is so like, don't say anything bad now, mention us like every time you love us. Okay. He's so funny in the Discord. I still don't want to look at the Discord too much, so I haven't seen Discord Guilty 3 much, since I'm like, I don't want to get spoiled. But I will read more Shadow Slave. I will get to it. Just call Guilty 3 cute, someone clip it and send it to him. But yeah. Mm, but now we have some growing lilies to read. 5 chapter rows. One time I started a joke about cliffhanger, left the joke on cliffhanger, too funny. No way. Oh, dude. He's cracked. Okay, predicting for the Lily. What if everyone comes back in the future with magical abilities from other worlds, some reverse isekai type shit? You know what? I was thinking the same type of thing. I was like, maybe everyone got transported into like some type of magic realm or some shit, but I don't know. But I thought about that as well. Like, maybe. Who knows? But yeah, good prediction. Everyone got raccooned, right? Did we discover new people? I'm so lost. We did not. We haven't seen a single human being. We've seen dogs and animals. Dogs and animals, as if dogs aren't animals. We've seen animals and the boat phone sentient being thing, but that's nothing that we've seen. It's only weird, but it's like, I assume that it's a person somehow, but I don't know how. But it's magic now, so I don't know. I believe that there is someone. There has to be someone. If not someone, then something that is more sentient. There's no way she will continue to talk to Bay the seal and Star the dog forever. I mean, it could. That could be it. Maybe she will lose it. Because it reminds me of what the fuck is it called? The zombie one with Will Smith, and that is also a novel. I've read the novel. What is it called? The End Day? No. What? I Am Legend. Yes, thanks. Because that's like, it's him and a dog. No? But she has a big bang attack now. Who will she blow up? Right, only herself. But we will see. I'm hyped to see more. In. Oh, shut up, phone. Fuck. Well, thank you, phone, for reminding me to turn you off before I started. Chapter 16. Lily blinked and it was nighttime. The lights were off, and the light of the moon showed through the sliding glass doors on the far wall. They didn't seem to be shattered. That was good. Star was nosing at her leg and whining. Lily. I don't know why I'm struggling so hard to say Lily. It's like it's too many L's for my mouth. I can't. So whenever now it becomes Lily Let, I was like Lily. Like, it's too many L's. It's hard for me for some reason. I'm trying my best. Lily let out a low groan and sat the rest of the way up. She'd been slumped against the kitchen cabinets for who knows how long. Her head was pounding. A cold sweat covered her body. She felt like she was going to puke. She couldn't think through the feeling of cotton on the inside of her skull. Ugh, I'm alive. Star, I'm okay. Well, not okay, I'm here. It's okay. Good boy. She reached out and patted Star with her good hand. Her arm felt like it was made of lead. Oh God, this is really not good. I'm alive though. I'm here. How do I recover from this? Before anything else, Lily needed water. She tried to think about how to get some in her current state. She wasn't sure she could stand. She didn't want to risk passing out again. Where had she left the water? Bottles of water. Oh, she remembered seeing a few in the fridge. There weren't any she had brought, but that would do. If she couldn't reach them, the only other thing she could think of was Star's bowl, and Lily would rather not if she could avoid it. She slid herself carefully to the fridge. Star was still trying to help, but being a puppy, he was more obstructive than anything, running around her in circles and whining. But somehow she appreciated not being alone, even if it wasn't helpful. Carefully, using her good hand, she opened the fridge. The air felt so cold on her clammy skin, but she grabbed 3 bottles of water before closing it. She also noticed that her makeshift bandage was absolutely soaked with blood, but tried not to think about it right now. She carefully placed the bottle between her thighs and opened it with her good hand. It splashed her a little, but she got it. Her instincts were to down the water bottle right away, but she knew that if she ended up throwing it up, she'd have bigger problems. So she carefully sipped at it. Then she turned her attention to Star. Good boy. Hey, it's all right. Stop whining. I'm fine, see? Just a little severe blood loss. You're good. How did you know the spell was going to do that? Did dogs just have a naturally better magic sense? Or was it due to the anomaly from where she found him? Questions for later. For now, she just wanted to reassure him and figure out what else she needed to do to recover. She shuffled around until she could reach her phone in her pocket, and she opened Google. Time to do some research. When she recovered from this, she was definitely going to do a lot of first aid prep. Just the fact that she opened Google now reminded me, I was watching Vampire Diaries yesterday. Yes, I've started to watching Vampire Diaries. It's fucking so fun. It's so fun to watch. And I almost screamed out loud because recently they've been starting to searching things up on the web, and they always say, "How did you find that information?" I binged it, and I want to fucking puke. Okay, I hate when it's so obvious. Mark, he's like, "I binged it." It's like, stop. I hated those times when it's like, okay, Bing really wanted to be like, we hate that Google say it, like they Googled it. You binged it. It's like, no one fucking says they binged anything. No one uses fucking Bing. Yeah. So I was just thinking about it now. It's like, oh my god, imagine if she said, and she opened Bing and binged it. I would have died. I Yahooed it, right? Oh, that's even worse. But I swear to God, I have used Yahoo more than fucking Bing because it was probably some standard or some shit like on my mom's old computer or some shit. I don't know. Like, so that has I have at least done that first, and then I was like, oh fuck, and then I had to search Google, you know? It's like, please get me out. Oh, but yeah, fucking pinged. I pinged it. It's like, oh, stop. I can't. Oh, I totally missed it too. Yeah. So yeah, I just had to get out of my system. I had to talk about it now. That so annoying. Anyway, gladly she didn't Bing fucking anything. She uses Google. She's a normal human being. Okay, Robinson, thank you so much for coming and sharing your stories and everything. It was fun. I hope to see you next time and have a nice rest of your day. They use Bing in hell. That's what hell is. You can only use Bing. No. But Google had been less than helpful. The top answers told her to go to a hospital and get a blood transfusion. Well, that wasn't going to happen. Results other than that mostly told her to drink plenty of water, eat what she could, and it would take several weeks for her to be back to 100%. But it did seem likely that even if she was dealing with some light anemia for a few weeks, it would only take a little while for her to be functional at all again. That was good. She couldn't afford to be unable to do anything at all for a few weeks. She would have to take it easier than she had been lately for a bit though. She had gotten through 2 of the 3 bottles of water already, and was feeling a little better. She had also dragged herself halfway to the couch by inching along whenever she felt like she could. So now that her phone was off, she was sitting in the middle of her living room. The big sliding glass door was directly in front of her. She could see some chickens sleeping outside in the moonlight, and the ocean. Okay, so the chickens are still there. They didn't escape. But with all the lights off and only this very clear view of the water and sky, the blackness of the night sky was unnerving. Still, tonight she had no choice but to sit here for a while, so it was as good a time as any. She looked to the sky. Pitch blackness. The stars really were gone. It wasn't an illusion or anything like that. She had kept hoping, in some naive part of her heart, that it would turn out that way. But no. They were gone. She didn't think that she could. She didn't think that she just couldn't see them either. Somehow she was certain. They were gone. Just gone. Like they'd never been there. She was on her single lonely planet in an empty universe. The sun, the moon, and the earth. The earth with only her on it. She pushed down the rising panic. No, she was confronting reality now. Panic and madness could wait. If she was going to blip out of existence like everything else, she probably would have by now, and there was nothing she could do anyway. This was like a special hell designed just for her. A girl terrified of wide open empty spaces. Well, and other people. So she supposed maybe she had traded one for the other. Still. The thought that there was just nothing in the entire universe other than her was beyond scary. Her mind couldn't wrap around how tiny it made her feel. Maybe it was the blood loss. She felt too tired right now to fully panic, so she just thought about it. Star being here helped too. She was running her good hand through his fur. He seemed to have tired himself out fussing over her all day. And now that she was seeming alive, he was passed out against her thigh. The stars were gone. What did that mean? Physics wasn't falling apart. She wasn't sure what would happen normally if all the stars disappeared, but she was pretty sure it would be something. Her uneducated guess was that without the gravity of the entire universe pulling all the matter here in every different direction, her little single-world solar system would be collapsing in on itself. She didn't know enough about astronomy and physics to really know for sure. That wasn't happening. That meant that there was a different prevailing rule. She didn't like considering this option, but what about God? Banishing everyone but her, granting her hints about how to survive, erasing the stars themselves and spawning in a boat when she needed it. God playing a cosmic game of humans and houses with her as a player character. She almost laughed at that. No, she didn't think so. Not really. What would be the purpose? To make her suffer? Because it loved her and wanted to focus? No, nothing really seemed to fit. It felt too arbitrary to be a god. It didn't really feel like a natural process either. It was too targeted for that. No matter what natural process existed, singling her out among all the universe was too unlikely. So, by process of elimination, her prevailing theory was that someone was doing this. That didn't quite add up either, although it seemed more likely than the other two options. A god choosing her for this seemed unlikely. After all, if you created all of creation, why her? It came down to the same issue as the natural idea. But if you thought about it as a person unaffiliated with the universe, at large, choosing to fuck with her, well, that sounded like something a person would do. People were awful like that. Still, she felt like she was jumping to conclusions. If a person was doing this to her specifically, why? Also, wouldn't they have helped when she nearly killed herself just earlier today? Maybe they had. She was unconscious for a long time. A paranoid voice in the back of her head whispered to her, I mean, Star helped her. Maybe Star is God. No. No, no, no. Down that train of thought lay madness. She couldn't think like that, or she'd really lose it. Seeing her mysterious influencer around every strange event and corner she couldn't see around. Someone was helping her, sometimes. She was pretty sure of that at this point. But ascribing everything that had happened to them just seemed wrong. It also didn't really add up. Why would someone like that help her but just a little bit? Why would they leave the message beloved Lily? Why would they call her beautiful and other sweet things through phone messages? No, if someone like that were powerful enough to erase the stars themselves, she felt like they would have done more to help her. So maybe two people. Two people. She felt like she was onto something. But she didn't really have evidence for even one person. Not really. But she would be looking for ways to test her theory moving forward. She would try her hardest to disprove this idea, and if it held up to scrutiny, she would have more evidence to work with. Okay, for now, the one who had erased everyone and all the stars was Entity A. The one who had been helping her was Entity B. Simple enough, right? Okay, now I got it as well. In the meantime, what about the stars? Well, it was scary, but there was nothing Lily could really do about it. So she guessed she would just try not to think too hard about it, like she had been. Huh, I really am a very simple person. Just don't think about it. Yeah, Lily, that's healthy. I'm sure that will be good for you long term. She stirred a little bit at the sound of her voice. She reached over and petted him. Okay, little buddy. Did I say she stirred? Because I was like, I didn't understand what happened. And then she petted the dog. And I was like, I don't think I read it right. I missed what it said. I'm confusing myself. Star stirred a little bit at the sound of her voice. She reached over and petted him. Okay, little buddy. We're moving to the couch. I think I can make it. She had finished her third bottle of water and was feeling a fair bit better. Not good by any stretch of the imagination, but she was no longer concerned that she was going to pass out and die. So that was something. That is indeed something. Lily managed to stand up and take the 10 or so steps to the couch before plopping down on it. A bit of fluff huffled into the air when she threw herself onto it. Oh yeah, the couch was sliced up. She took a moment to examine the damage closely for the first time. It really was like one giant horizontal slice had been taken out of the couch. It was on the height level of the coffee table, so just above the cushions. It must have exploded out from the paper itself. None of the spell circle papers were still on the table, and the table itself, it had a huge crack in it, like someone had swung a sledgehammer down right where the paper had been. There were also a few points around the table area, and even on the ceiling that looked like they'd been hit with some kind of magical shrapnel. Lily's mental image was that the spell popped like a balloon, and the shockwave had done a lot of damage in a pretty predictable area, but the pieces of rubber went a little all over the place. She could clearly see where her hand had been, and that seemed to be what had struck her. Honestly, I'm just lucky it got my hand. A chest or head wound like that probably would have killed me. Well, with nothing else to do, she turned on the TV. TV had always been a comfort for her. She liked to have something playing in the background when at all possible. It made her feel less alone. It had in her apartment, and it still did. It also kept her mind from spiraling into dark thoughts as easily, but still let her think about important directed thoughts. Now she had more media too. So she opened her comedy section and just put it on shuffle. Random episodes of comedy shows would play. Perfect. The Simpsons came right up. That would do. Okay, magical theory time. Star was looking at the TV with interest and settling down onto the couch next to her. What had happened with the spells, though? Well, the basic idea seemed obvious. She had left the spell gathering mana for hours, and then it had exploded. So mana had a point where it would just explode if gathered in enough quantity? That was one explanation. She tried to think of a few more. It was never good to only have one idea. What if it had reacted to something she did? She had put her hand into it before it had gone off. Maybe she disrupted it somehow in a way that she hadn't the other times she'd done that. Or was it possible it was her spell circle? Maybe it wasn't a matter of gathering too much mana in general. Maybe it was that her spell circle had a limit that it could take, and she had exceeded it. She'd have to do more testing, outside this time. Although she was a little frightened. She would have to be a lot more careful moving forward. On the plus side, this was a pretty easy problem to avoid. She'd done the magical equivalent of leaving her stove on. All she had to do was use the mana she gathered rather than letting it build and build and build, and she wouldn't hit an explosion like this again as easily. But even if that was the case, she decided that she was going to be more careful around circles in general until she knew what she was doing. Hold on. For a moment, Lily felt like she was having double vision. Can she see through Star now? Her internal model of herself wasn't lining up with her own actions. Why wasn't she more afraid? Okay, it was a metaphor. Normally, she wouldn't already be thinking of trying this again. She was sure. Hell, normally she was sure her reaction would be, well, I'm never touching magic again. Why wasn't she feeling like that? Personal growth? That didn't really seem to fit exactly. It had only been a few days. Emotional stretch marks. Her mind was starting to get a little fussy now that she was relaxing on a couch. She took another look at her bandaged hand. The bandage was soaked through, but not dripping. That was a good sign. Tomorrow, when doing so, wouldn't result in further injury. She would have to remove it, clean it, and redress it. But that was a problem for when she woke up. Lily yawned. She was still in a huge amount of pain, but she'd had hours to get used to it. She was beyond tired, and was pretty sure she wouldn't make it to the bathrooms to look around for painkillers. Hers were on the boat, and she wasn't chancing walking down the dock and up the ramp in this state. If she fell in the water, that would be it. So there was nothing to do but try to bear it. She had been in this position before, so it was nothing new. Toothaches were she'd been too scared to leave her apartment and go to the dentist, for one. Earlier in her life, too. She remembered one distinct moment, locked in a dark room with a broken bone for days. That was a bad memory. She pushed it away. What? So, no, don't push it. Hello? Tell me. I've also been thinking about like she doesn't care about her parents at all. So I assume they don't have a connection since she was like everyone is gone. She didn't even was like, "Oh my god, my parents, my friends." Like she obviously it doesn't seem like she has any, and I don't know if she has like friends. And I don't know if she has any parents at all or if she just like I hate them anyway. So, maybe this has something to do with that? Right? I want to know more. Star pawed at her to get her attention, snapping her out of it. She smiled down at him and somehow felt he could tell it was fake. You're a very good boy. I'm keeping you. You saved my life and I've earned your place in my kingdom. You'll be knighted soon. Good Sir Star. She giggled to herself and it was real this time. I know you don't understand, but thank you. Thank you so much. We're gonna have a great time together, okay? I'm gonna fuck up taking care of you so badly, but I promise I'll do my best. Is that okay? Star's tail wagged happily. Lily hugged him gently with her good arm. Then she settled down to watch TV until she could fall asleep through the pain. It didn't take long. Nice. I like this chapter. It was very nice. Chapter 17. When Lily woke up, it was morning. Her hand was throbbing and painful, but she was pretty sure that was better than waking up and not feeling it. She was roused to the sound of the laugh track coming from the TV. A sitcom she didn't recognize was playing, but that didn't stand out. She downloaded a couple large packs of media that contained things she wasn't familiar with. Two characters were having a fight over who had to clean their messy basement. Lily shut it off. Yeah, I agree. It's nice. It's like a refreshing, like, you know, even though it's sad, but still nice. I also like exposition to a degree. Everything to a degree. She groaned, and Star stirred. Star had fallen asleep against her stomach and had been drooling a little. Lily immediately felt the wet spot against her skin. She hadn't put back on a shirt last night. A jolt of modesty flashed through her mind before she shrugged it off. It didn't matter. She could walk around outside like this. There was no one to care. Watch Star become a human, and then she's like, "Oh my god, you've seen me like this! Oh!" I can see it happen. Good morning, Star. I hope Bay's not too lonely out on the boat. Probably living it up in my room. Smug little bastard. She sat up and rubbed at her eyes with her good hand. She reached across to the broken coffee table and retrieved her glasses, then turned her attention to her wound. It looked bad. The blood had soaked through the fabric thoroughly. It did look like dried blood, which was something, but this was going to be a pain to deal with. Star hopped down from the couch with a yawn and proceeded immediately around the couch and behind it. Lily was about to shout at him not to pee, but instead of that she heard ripping sounds. She carefully stood up and walked around the back of the couch to see what he was tearing into. It was paper. It had to have already been torn up from yesterday, because Star couldn't have done this much damage this quickly. But he was tearing the shreds into smaller shreds. Exactly that. Exactly that. Yes. Aw man, what did you get a hold of, huh? Lily was getting dizzy but also wanted to see, so she let herself half fall, half sit on the floor and grabbed one of the shreds. It had a pen mark on it. Wait, this was one of her circles! She looked over the mess. This must be all of her circles. Oh no, Star! How could you? Wait, wait. Was this dog just playing with paper, or was Star defending her? How smart were puppies supposed to be? Surely he didn't understand that the circles on the paper had caused a magic accident. Well, whatever. Lily remembered all the glyphs she would need to do more work. So let the little guy play, or defend her, or whatever he was doing. Although maybe today was a good opportunity to do some more training. She was going to be more or less forced to stay in anyway. Either way, she'd have to take care of her bandage first. Heaving herself up onto her feet, Lily dragged herself to the master bathroom and started looking through my voice. There. I was like, I feel something, but I can make it through. I could not. Although she suspected there was probably an area meant for the whole house that kept. Blah, 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 blah. I'm too far. I'll just go from here. Either way, she'd have to take care of her bandage first. Heaving herself up onto her feet, Lily dragged herself to the master bathroom and started looking through cabinets for first aid supplies. It wasn't long until she found a small bin of things under the sink. There wasn't a medicine cabinet in this room, so it seemed like this is where they had kept their stuff. Although she suspected there was probably an area meant for the whole house that might have a greater supply. For now, she didn't have the energy to look. The first thing she looked for was painkillers. Thankfully, she found an assortment. The pain in her hand was near unbearable, and it was only through a lifetime of practice dealing with shit like this that she was able to think through the pain. It wasn't her proudest moment, but she immediately popped 800 milligrams of ibuprofen with some bathroom sink water to wash it down. Isn't that a lot? 800 milligrams, I don't remember how much one ibuprofen is, but 800 milligrams. Maybe it is normal. Maybe I'm just like, oh. Pfft. Wait, how much is one? Ibuprofen. Yeah, because I'm like, yeah, right? Yeah, 200. Damn. She's just like, you know what? Fuck it. Really? It goes that high? Okay. Well, 800 then. She at least she at least stuck to the max dose. That's nice. Hello, Shane. Welcome, welcome. Welcome. Problem. She plopped back down onto the floor with a huff and heard a small yelp. She'd almost landed on Star. Oh, hey, buddy. I didn't realize you were following me. Don't worry, I'm just taking care of myself, okay? He looked at her curiously, then cautiously wagged his tail. She gave him a pat with her good hand. Then she gathered up the bottles of ibuprofen and acetaminophen. Acetaminophen. Now, what else was in here? Regular-sized band-aids. Nope, those were out. She kept digging. Gas X, Imodium, Pepto, NyQuil, cotton swabs, Q-tips, chewable Flintstones vitamins, and, well, there were some bigger bandages at the bottom. She wasn't sure if they were big enough, but she also wasn't sure how big the wound actually was. So she dug them out. She also put aside the vitamins, because why not? Well, that left only one thing to do. It was time to try taking off her bandage. She looked over to Star. Hey, so there might be a lot of blood here in a second. Don't panic, okay? I gotta remove the bandage, wash the wound, and put a clean one on it. It's gonna be okay, but it might hurt. A lot. Okay? She wasn't sure whether she was talking to Star or herself. Well, nothing was going to change until she went ahead and did it. So she took a deep breath and began untying her bandage. Lily was as gentle as she could be, but that led to her first problem. Untying the knot wasn't too hard, although jostling the bandage hurt like no one's business. but when she went to pull it off, it was stuck. That's not good, is it? The blood had coagulated around the bandage, and as she was gently pulling on it, it felt a lot like pulling off a scab. Oh, fy fan. Did it heal around the bandage, or is it just sticky? She pulled a little harder. The pain was horrible. She stopped, gasping. Oh shit, this is really going to suck. Do I just pull once really hard? That seems like it might cause more damage, but it's gonna hurt like hell to pull it off slowly. She decided to go with the slower option. That's probably for the best. Star watched patiently as she slowly peeled the bandage away. It was agony. The pain blossomed in her palm, but the intensity made it feel like it went halfway up her arm. Lily gritted her teeth as she worked. Around a third of the way in, she saw her first signs of fresh blood. It seemed like the bandage had been part of what was sealing it closed, but she couldn't leave it like that, so she kept going. It took 10 absolutely horrific minutes to get it all the way off. By the end, Lily was covered once again in a cold sweat. She was gasping for air, but she'd done it. Her hand was bleeding again, but it thankfully wasn't as bad as the night before. The wound was made up of 2 cuts about an inch apart. One was large and covered a good portion of her palm. The other one was close to her wrist and was thankfully not as deep. She rose unsteadily and turned on the sink. Using her good hand, she waited until the water warmed up to around room temperature, and then she let it flow out over her wound. Lily bit her lip to avoid screaming, but a groan of pain still came out. Star whined and did a few circles around her feet. Fuck! Fuck, 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 that hurts! Despite it, though, she rinsed it thoroughly. An infection would be hell to treat with the way things were, and if she wasn't careful, she might end up without a hand. Or worse. So she bore the pain as best she could. She was diligent, and when she finally reached her limit, she collapsed onto the floor without even turning off the sink. She lay there, panting. Star toddled over and started licking her face. It was such a bad time, but she couldn't bring herself to be mad. Still, she flayed a little. Stop! I'm wounded. You got me, okay? She gave Star a grin and had to fight to hold back tears. When she had caught her breath, she sat up and took a glance at her hand. It was still bleeding, but very slowly. Opening the box of bandages, Lily clumsily got one out. She kicked herself for not doing this part first. Then she applied 2 bandages, one over each wound. The larger one only got covered up most of the way, but it at least covered the bits that were actively bleeding, so Lily decided that was enough. She would be careful and clean it again later today. Lily found her feet and turned off the bathroom sink. Then she made her way back to the couch, plopped down, and promptly passed back out. When Lily woke from her nap, she was laying on her stomach. Star had climbed up onto her back and curled up to sleep there at some point. He was heavy, but not heavy enough that she couldn't breathe. Still, when she tried to move, she found her body was too weak. Hey, Star, you gotta move. The puppy stirred. This was pathetic. Lily groaned. Star, move! She rocked back and forth a little, trying to dislodge her passenger. Eventually, Star stretched, yawned, and jumped down onto the floor. Lily sat up and glared at him in mock outrage. He didn't seem guilty in the slightest. Fine. You're going to do some training today, okay? First, we'll grab some treats, then head to the boat, and you're going to learn to behave. Lily gathered herself up, grabbed a box of milk bones and the duck feet, and headed toward the boat. When she got to the back door, she noticed a smell. Has he shit now? Taking a quick look around, yeah. Star had been using the bathroom here. She couldn't even be mad, though. She'd been passed out from the blood loss. Really, going by the door was better than she expected from him. Good-ish, boy. You're going to go outside whenever possible from now on, though, okay? We'll work on it. She took a few minutes to clean the mess before heading out. Star snuffled around and used the bathroom in the yard. That was probably a coincidence, but she was pleased he was making progress. She passed by the chickens. They didn't seem happy. She wondered how hard it would be to get them a shelter, but they had a porch to sit on that was covered. If she hadn't gotten injured, she'd be on it today, but as it wasn't a good idea for her to do lifting like that. She apologized to the chickens and promised to find out what she could give them as a treat later. She was still a little unsteady on her feet, so she stayed as close as she could to the center of the path down the dock and up the ramp. Lily had expected Star to have trouble with the ramp, but he ran right up without an issue. So Lily shrugged and followed him. Maybe he's been there before. She had missed her boat. She really did feel so much more secure here, despite the amenities not being as good. She found her way to her fridge, grabbed an energy drink, a few of the hostess snacks, and a bag of chips. Not healthy, but she just wanted comfort food right now. She'd swing back to the watermelon in a little if she thought she could get it from the fridge with one hand while dizzy. In the meantime, she plopped down on her couch and put something on in the background. The movie was Princess Mononoke. She thought the wolves might be a good background for teaching Star some tricks. Plus, it was just a good movie. She took the time to do some research on her phone about how to train a dog. It was getting harder. Most of the links that weren't directly hosted on a huge platform didn't seem to work anymore, and even platforms like Google were starting to have some troubles. The internet wasn't going to last much longer. That was a scary thought. But while Lily had access, she was determined to use it. She got a basic idea of how training was supposed to work. Use your hand with the treat and guide the dog into position. Give it a treat when it does the thing, and reinforce it with a command. Eventually, the gesture and command ought to be enough, and then you can even phase out the gesture. But you don't have to, if you want the option of nonverbal communication. That seemed easy enough. She thought she could probably get Star to do it a few times today, and when it would just be daily repetition over the next few weeks and branching into different commands. She thought she ought to start with sit. So she called Star over. He was already getting better about responding to his name, which surprised Lily. The guides she saw all talked about spending time teaching the dog its name as a sort of command as well. But he was already starting to get that one. Now it's like a Star training arc. So she was gonna start with one he couldn't do. When he approached, she showed him the milk bone to get his attention. That part was nice and easy. She lifted it in her hand in front of his nose and pulled it back over his head so it would be easy to reach if he sat down. He did. Sit. She gave him the treat. Good boy. Good boy, Star. Good sit. He happily chomped the treat down, wagging his tail, and at the praise stood up and started doing small circles. Lily smiled down at him and grabbed another treat. As she held it out in front of him, she started to do the same motion. Before she could even manage, he sat and looked up at her hungrily. Sit? She handed him the treat. He scarfed it down. Good boy. That was really quick. She reached in and fished around for another treat. You're going to get this sit thing in no time. As she said the word sit, Star sat down. He tilted his head at her curiously. She stared at him. He humphed, waiting impatiently for his treat. Lily handed him a treat. That had to be a coincidence, right? She threw a treat across the room so Star wasn't sitting right in front of her. She had to break up the pattern to test it. Star ran over and ate the treat, and as he was midway back to her, she raised her hand with a gesture. Sit! Star immediately sat. What the actual fuck? There's no way you're that smart. Absolutely no way. Maybe you had owners before me that taught you that one. But she couldn't remember him sitting on command before now. Then again, she wasn't sure she'd said the word out loud. Okay, then all she had to do was try to give him a command, and if he didn't obey it, she would try to teach him that one. She pointed her hand with a similar gesture downward instead of up. Down. Star looked at her curiously and whined a little. She grabbed a treat and called his name. He ran right over. Sit. He sat. She put the treat in front of his nose and guided him down into a laying position. Down! Then she gave him the treat. Good boy, good Star, good down. She fished out another treat. Sit! Star sat. Down! She made a gesture without putting the treat near him. He lay down. Huh. She gave him the treat, dreamily. What the hell? This isn't normal, right? Star let out a small woof and licked his lips. Okay, Star smart. By the time Princess Mononoke had ended, Star had learned a truly shocking amount. Using hand gestures or words, she could get him to sit, lie down, stay still, bark, or come touch his nose to her hand. Repetition did still help. It made him sure of himself, and he was very eager to please. Even more so when she occasionally gave him one of the dried duck feet. She was lavishing praise on him too. She was genuinely impressed. At this point, Star is just going to take all the treats after getting annoyed. It's like, okay. What else could she teach him to do if he was this smart? If she talked to him enough, maybe he eventually just understand her. Well, no, not necessarily. It's possible he was very smart when it came to processing, but still had the capacity of a normal dog. An upgraded CPU and RAM, but the same hard drive. She would have to keep trying to teach him new things, but he seemed eager to learn. Really, really eager even. He was visibly disappointed when she got too tired to continue. Look, I'm sorry, but I have lost a lot of blood, and you can't eat only treats. It's bad for you. Star whined, as in like, but you're eating treats right now. I don't make the rules of reality. You gotta eat healthy food sometimes too. She looked over the remnants of her own meal. Yeah? Star barked. Okay, I know you're smart, but there's no way you understand how hypocritical that was for me to say. Star barked again. Lily rolled her eyes. Fine, I'll eat a good meal too. But so will you. We'll do it together, okay? I don't know how to cook though, so if it's bad, don't blame me. Lily retrieved Bay before leaving the boat. It was tiring walking all the way back up to the house. Bay in hand, but she made it. It was time to cook a meal. Rummaging through the fridge, Lily dug out bacon and eggs. That couldn't be too difficult, right? She was pretty sure you just heated up the bacon in a pan, then mixed up the eggs real good and heated them too. Doing this all one-handed was going to be the tricky part. Ah, if only she was already a magical expert. She was sure there had to be some combination of glyphs to perfectly cooked meals, right? Oh, please. She put the pan on the stove and laid out the bacon. It was a little embarrassing, but she had to climb up onto the kitchen counter so she could sit while watching the food cook. She shrugged it off, though. It didn't matter anymore. No one was around to see. And if she somehow ruined this counter and that was a big deal, she could move next door in either direction. It took a while for the bacon to cook. She wasn't sure how much of that came down to her being bad at cooking and how much was just how bacon was. But after a while, she was able to take it off the stove and move the pieces onto a plate. Then she cracked some eggs and mixed them up before dumping them into the same pan. You could use bacon grease instead of butter, right? The bacon was cooling and getting darker. She was starting to think she may have overcooked it a bit, but that wasn't so bad, right? Only one or two pieces actually looked black. Then she noticed the eggs starting to smoke. They had only been in there for a couple minutes. She turned off the stove and moved them over. Then she took a minute to prepare 2 plates. The eggs were overcooked, bland and greasy. The bacon was definitely overcooked too, but it was the first home-cooked meal Lily had in a long time. Star was a dog. So there were no complaints from either of them. Perfect. Chapter 18. The last girl in the world sat in the driveway of her newly acquired mansion. She had found some chalk while scrounging through one of the garage. In Swedish, it's garage, so it's hard to say garage because it doesn't make sense to me. It's a garage, not a garage. Ah, okay. Scrounging garage. She had found some chalk while scrounging through one of the garages for something she could throw in the yard for a temporary chicken house. I probably said it so fucking bad anyway, but I don't care. I'm gonna keep it in. I don't care. Americans say it the French way too in some places. What the fuck is the French way of saying garage? I don't know. Garage. Gothenburg accent. Garage. The way you were just doing, no way. Yeah. Oh well. She hadn't found anything she could use for that, but the shock had given her an idea. Lily was going to do another magic test. Well, more precisely, she was going to see if she could rip off the ever-burning flame spell, wholesale. After all, she knew that spell was stable. She'd had it for quite some time now, and apart from when it broke, it seemed to be still going strong with no real danger. At least, probably. She was still taking more precautions than she had last time. Lily held aloft the Inscriber of Power, chalk on a stick, in one hand, and the Abolisher of Mistakes, garden hose, in the other. She was ready, she thought. Her first attempt did not go well. It turned out drawing a freehand circle at scale was hard. Like, really hard, it is. She had not even bothered closing the circle before because it was just lopsided. In theory, the circle was supposed to be perfectly balanced, with all these precise lines and flawless circles. She looked down at her lumpy, oblong monstrosity, put down the abolisher, and went in search of tools. Now armed with a piece of twine, a long stick, and a plank of wood, she had returned. Yeah, that's thinking with your brain, Lily. You got this. Star whined, so she gave him a look. Oh, shush you. I'm allowed to talk to myself. You're almost as judgmental as Bay. You know that? Fucking Bay. She used the plank as a straight edge for her straight lines, and she tied one end of the twine to her stick. Then she had Star hold it still while she used it to measure out close to perfect circles by holding the other end in her chalk hand and rotating all the way around the stick. It took some practice to get Star to hold it still, but the dog was smart. She had taught him the hold command in about 30 tries, which wasn't as fast as the stuff before, but it was also more complicated. Plus, he could do it while sitting and staying. She wondered what his upper limit might be. More like pupper limit, right? Faye judged. She gave him a smile. He didn't seem to appreciate her joke. Oh, whatever, I'm hilarious. All in all, the process took her a few hours. Drawing the final circle had taken about 30 minutes. She was certain she could make the process a lot faster, but she was determined to be slow and careful. No more mistakes. Plus, she was still doing this one-handed. Before she drew the line that would complicate the circle. And the dad jokes hits. Before she drew the line that would complete the circle, Lily had to retrieve something. She needed something to be the central object, like her ever-burning flames piece of wood. This is the bit she wanted to experiment with the most. Why was it wood? Did it have to be a wood? What would change if it wasn't wood? Did size matter? She had so many questions. So she looked around until she found a rock. It was big enough that it was a little difficult to lift in one hand, but she managed it. She placed it in the center of the circle. She picked up the inscriber again, hand poised to close the circle, and then she thought better of it. I should get behind something, she muttered, glancing up from her work. There were no trees close enough. She could pull the car up, but she didn't want to fuss with the car door one-handed. Lily was really looking for something she could get behind at a second's notice. After a brief search, she had her solution. She dragged an end table into place and rested a couch cushion against it. It wasn't perfect, but it was about all she could do with her hand still so injured. It's better than nothing, I guess, she muttered, peering over at the circle with naked suspicion. She pulled Star behind the barrier and told him to stay. She knew he would. He was such a good boy. Cautiously, she reached forward with her shock spear and completed the circle. Then she dove behind the coffee table and waited. 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. She hazarded a peek over her barricade. Nothing was happening. Wait, no. It was. Just very slowly. It was too bright out for her to see immediately, but a small flame started licking up from the sides of the rock as she watched. It was tiny. Huh. Why was it so small? As she watched, it concentrated on top of the rock, as if it were a tiny bonfire atop a tiny boulder. Then it seemed to stop changing. It just sat there, burning. It was about the same size as the one she found in the wild. She watched it for a couple more seconds. Star came out from around the barrier too, and let out a low growl towards the fire. Danger? Or are you just being protective? She looked down at the dog. He was staring at the circle, but he wasn't nearly as worked up as he'd been before the explosion. Lily took that to mean that there was no immediate danger that Star could see. She approached with caution. The flame really wasn't getting bigger. She reached out slowly and carefully to touch it. It wasn't any hotter than the one she had found either. That was a sort of success, right? It was roughly the same result, right? But why was it the same? She thought the bigger circle and bigger material would have meant a bigger flame. It was time for some investigation. Observation mode activate! The shock she'd used to write the circle hadn't changed at all, and it was plenty large. She thought that maybe the size of the circle would influence the spell, but that didn't seem to be doing anything different really. She got down on her knees and took a close look at the shock marks. She could see the mana flowing through it if she focused on it. Well, that might be one benefit of drawing it out large. Mana was flowing around the circle clockwise, so she set out to trace the path. Slowly, she crawled around the outside of the circle. Whenever it got to a node, it flowed through the glyph that was inside it and reacted. Then, the axis seemed to move forward, so Lily stopped to examine each of the glyphs she didn't understand. Gather ambient mana did seem to be drawing it out of the air and feeding it to the rest of the circle. Eat to mana also seemed to be pulling it out of the flame. That was about what she expected. The glyph before Heat to Mana seemed to be pushing mana into the fire. More than was coming out of it. Tentatively, Lily thought that one might be creating the fire in the first place. Then Heat to Mana was siphoning the heat out and returning less mana to the circle. So it takes the heat as a byproduct and turns it back into mana. That can't be efficient. How does this thing keep running in the first place? But then she realized. The Gather Ambient Mana node was also pulling from the air. So that's how it's offset the rest. But then what was the rest of the circle for? It seemed to be pushing and pulling mana all over the place. The next one was pushing it into the stone? Why would it need to go into the stone? What was more, the smaller circle seemed to be pulling the mana out of the stone again directly after that. She could see it flowing from the final node into the rock, then back out of the rock and into the smaller circle. Lily got closer and examined the smaller circle. The first glyph looked the inverse of the one before it. So it was. Put mana into object and take mana out of object? Then the second one was like a pool. The mana stopped flowing there until it got to a certain amount, and then it all went at once. Some kind of capacitor. Battery? Lily thought that's how capacitors worked. It had a little icon of mana inside. Could she replace that with another glyph and change what it held? Then the spiral with the arrow. Well, that was easy to guess. It was probably just outputting the mana to the larger circle. Okay, let's try putting it together. Theory time. I am so not following anything. And I I understand that that's a me issue. It's like it's probably a me issue. But it's like I get so lost into these things. But I'm like, it's there. I will let it be there. I will not try to I will not try too hard. Okay. Theory time. Right, theory time. She grabbed Star and had him sit in front of the circle. Listen, listen. I'm going to teach you, okay, buddy? Please do. Star yawned. Here's how I think it works. First, the small circle. She pointed to the smaller circle. The first node takes mana out of the rock. We'll call it drain material. The second one is a capacitor for mana. The third one is an output for mana. Simple, right? Get mana out of rock, put into big circle. You with me? Yes, I'm with you. Star almost seemed like he was playing up being bored. Cheeky little jerk. Fine, you might not think that's cool, but I'm gonna blow your pants off of the water with this next part. That's not a saying, is it? Oh well, it is now. Listen, the next glyph takes the mana and makes fire. I understand. So that one is actually the flame glyph, okay? The next one is heat to mana, so it pulls the heat back out and converts it. Then it drains the mana from around the circle and puts it all back into the rock. The end. Okay, I understand. These glyphs make rock fire. That's all I need to understand. No equations. No equations. Then I'm gonna lose it. I will lose it. Star did not seem impressed at all. Oh, come on, at least pretend. I think I've got it. Well, I mean, I'm probably wrong about some parts, and it seems needlessly complex to achieve the effect. Lily sat down and leaned against Star. But I think I can still do some cool things with just these glyphs. I think that capacitor one is going to be key though. It limits the mana flowing through it. Or standardizes it? I wonder what happens if it gets more than one charge all at once. Could I draw a line out of it perpendicular to the circle and do more stuff over there with the axis? What do you think, Star? Another experiment? I think I have a good idea. Star rolled over and looked at Lily with an expression that clearly said, no more experiments, rub my belly. So Lily took a break to just lie next to Star, rub his belly, and think. I'm Star. But don't rub my belly. Half an hour later, Lily was up again and washing her circle away with the hose. Star had vacated to a safe distance, looking peeved. She had an idea, and she wanted to test it. She had a design in mind for Lily's overflow valve MK1. So when she had a clean slate again, she immediately started drawing. This was going to be a very simple spell, her first that she created. What? No kite. No chitin. No chitin. I'm bullied. She already added the fucking bow term that I never. Still, it should be bow. Bow. Fuck, it's bow, right? It's. I swear, I don't understand. It makes me so frustrated that my mind can't remember. It should be bow. Or is it bow? Right? I was like, she already made a spell. She made a fucking bomb explosion. It will be the second spell she ever creates. Once she had 2 circles drawn, she started on the first node. Draw ambient mana. That should pull mana from the air. She wondered if it would be a lot stronger in spooky spots. Right, spooky spots. She moved on to the second node, a capacitor. From there, the circle continued, but it also met her second circle. The main path continued along into an infused material node, the one that was putting mana into the rock before. Her second circle also touched the main one along that node. Then she got to work on the second one. It was simple. It was just a flame glyph. Okay, Tammy, thank you so much for coming to the stream. Thank you, I appreciate it. Have a good rest of your day. Bye bye. It was totally. She hoped she got this right. She put the rock from before in the center of her main circle and finished the spell. Mana began to flow in, starting at her draw ambient mana glyph. Perfect so far. He got to the capacitor and filled it up. Then the output flowed into the stone. Okay, that was good. Wait, how was this supposed to work? This is going to take forever. The point of her test was to see if the overflow would be turned into a little flame and used up, but the ambient mana wasn't providing enough for there to be excess. How could she get more mana into the spell? She thought about it for a minute. Well, she could use heat to mana. She was outside, so it probably wasn't the end of the world as long as she was using the mana, right? She broke the circle and swapped gather ambient mana to heat to mana and added a node that took mana back out of the rock. That way, it would certainly get to the point that there was enough to fill the capacitor in one pass and she could see if her idea worked in theory. It did. She could see it. Mana got drawn from inside the circle, presumably cooling it down. Then it was put into the rock. Then a bunch was pulled from the rock and fed back into the circle. And now, when it was too much for the capacitor, a little flame started. Lily sheared and broke the circle again, and just removed the drain material node. She was finally onto something. Finally! She got out her notebook and started writing it out on the page. She wondered if there was a way to customize the capacitor to be able to store more or less. So she got down on her hands and knees and paid special attention to the capacitor. It looked like an ordinary node with just mana inside it. The main difference was that this node had a diamond-like shape along the node itself, rather than just an empty circle. Lily put her palm on it and willed it to accept more than it was accepting. Nothing happened, so she tried again. She'd seen circles respond to her will before. This was a simple change. Change a 1 to a 2. She focused. She imagined it having more mana in it before discharging. No, it wouldn't look like that. It would look like... Oh, of course. The circle under her palm warped and shifted. She felt as though that node was turning like a dial. She almost jumped away but controlled herself. Yes, she could just alter it. It was subtle. It didn't seem to change the structure of the circle visually, but she could just feel things flowing differently there. She stepped back to take a look. Sure enough, the node was filling up slower, and it let out a bigger burst when it did release a charge. Excited, Lily ran back over to her notebook and jotted this down. The diagram was simple. She could make modular circles. This one accepted mana, This one accepted mana, and you had to set the capacitor rate manually. But if she was doing what she really thought, it was going to be so useful. She could put this into a lot of her circles from here. It accepts mana and puts it into a material. Any access becomes a flame and is burned away, so she doesn't have to worry about overloading and explosions. This was perfect. She could update it later when she figured out how to expend mana in a less dangerous way than fire too. Maybe just a light? Then she could watch to see if it got too bright, and that could be like an indicator? Her mind was racing, but more than that, she had to find more glyphs. If she understood the basic idea of how a spell could work now, she needed to figure out more glyphs. But to do that, she'd need to find more magic in the wild. More spooky spots, probably. And Lily looked down at her hand. and was suddenly aware of just how tired and beat up she was. Aw, man, I probably shouldn't though, huh? Not till I've recovered. For now, Lily let the rock charge up until she could sense the mana on it, and then broke the circle. She could test one thing while resting. Would the mana stay or drain away? Lily had one other thing she could do while resting. It was beyond time. It was time to wash Bay. She gathered him up and brought him to the master bathroom. There she ran a bath for him. Well, in the sink. There were some very nice sinks, and she didn't want to get her kitchen all covered in possibly magical ash. As it finished filling, she turned and addressed him. All right, Bay. You will tell me everything you know, for you see, we have ways of making you talk. Star panted happily, watching Lily play her role. She reached for Bay and carefully lowered him into the warm water. The launch codes, Agent Bay. This can all stop if you gave me the launch codes. What is that? She held Bay out of the water for a moment. Lily turned to Star. He said, fuck you. Do you think those are the launch codes? Star wagged his tail. No, I don't think those are the launch codes, and I doubt the famous secret agent Mr. Bay is making a pass at me. So I think he takes another dunk in the pool. What the fuck? She dipped him back in and hummed while giving him a scrub. Sometimes you just have to play a little. It was hard doing this with mostly one hand, but at least the painkillers had been helping. Maybe a little bit too much. She'd been alternating between ibuprofen and acetaminophen every 3 hours, and she was feeling just fine. She was probably taking too much, but it was enough to keep her not in agony, so it was probably worth it. Don't do this at home, kids. Lily giggled at her play at breaking the fourth wall. She lifted Bay out of the water. The ash was coming off just fine, but the purple was not. It seemed to have dyed him. He was just white originally, but now he had purple splotches, particularly on his belly, where he normally touched the ground. Oh well, if it didn't come out, he still looked pretty cool. She let Star have a sniff to see if he still smelled. Star seemed interested but satisfied. So Lily plopped Bay onto the counter and grabbed the hairdryer that was in the drawer next to the sink. She noticed it earlier while looking for pills. She plugged it in and pointed it at Bay. Do I still expect you to talk? No, Mr. Bay. I expect you to dry. She started the dryer. Sometimes you just had to laugh, even at the end of the world. Yeah, you gotta do something. Oh, fuck. I hit my bottle to my tooth. Ah! Pain! I shouldn't talk and try to drink at the same time. You show me someone who doesn't mess around when no one is looking, and I'll show you a lie, right? I'm not judging, but I still think it's funny. Where did my finger go? There you went. Okay. Chapter 19. Lily had been doing some accounting. She was checking through the media she had collected to figure out what to get next. She had downloaded a large pack of TV shows, all sorts of them. She'd managed to grab all of her favorites and some popular shows she'd never seen. A whopping 18 terabytes of nothing but TV shows and movies. Damn! She'd also practically bought out Steam and downloaded a ton of games, and grabbed a staggering amount of music. Her entertainment needs out to be met for a long time to come. She made Google Maps download a map of most of the country so that she wouldn't need a connection to use her GPS anywhere. She had countless videos downloaded from YouTube of the How to X variety. She'd grab program. I was only having in my mind, typical American only makes a map out of America, not the world map. I only need this country. It's the only one that matters. I couldn't not bring it up. Anyway, It's all jokes. I'm joking. It's funny. She made Google Maps download a map. Yep. She'd grab programs for art, music, programming, video editing, computer diagnostics, and more. So why was it that she was sitting here looking at her phone and thinking that she must have missed something important? I don't know, the rest of the world. Because I always miss something important. Clothes, medical supplies, and whatever else. But this time, I'm not going to be stupid. I'm going to think it through. Despite saying that, nothing came to mind. To be fair, she's unlikely to do an I don't think she will go to another country anytime soon, but this is about the internet dying down, the library is blown up. Like, of course there are maps, you know, but it's like, you have Google Maps. Why not just take the whole world? You know, because she's also keeping things because she wanted to, like, preserve the internet and stuff. Why not just take the whole map? Because it will be gone from Google Maps. Sure, we will have maps in books and stuff like that, but why not? Despite saying that, nothing came to mind. Oh sure, the downloads were still running, but she was just downloading more media. She was sure that there was a whole category of items she had missed. If she could just think of it. She couldn't. Lily shrugged. It wasn't like she didn't already have a lot. She did. More than she could consume in a year, much less with only a couple hours a day at night after all the work she had been doing. If this pattern kept up, she might be set for 5 or 10 years. But there was definitely some information that would be useful that she just didn't have. She just didn't know what. Textbooks? She'd hit a college campus for those. Physics or engineering principles? They should be in the textbooks, but also it's not like she knew enough to know what would be useful or not useful in content like that anyway. She opened Google to do a search for surviving alone knowledge. When it happened, Google didn't work. Huh? Maybe she should Bing it. Don't Bing it! No! It's not even an option. Don't even try. Please. Huh? She checked her phone's connection. Sure enough, she was connected to Wi-Fi. She flicked that off, and it didn't want to connect to a cell tower. That was to be expected. So she went and grabbed her laptop. Google would not open. Her downloads were also stopped. The tracker she was using must have finally gone down. Oh. She had expected to feel something immediately, some kind of gut punch, but it wasn't really there. In some ways, it felt like taking off a noisy headset and hearing the silence around you. She was suddenly cut off. She stared at her phone, suddenly unsure of what to do. Some websites still had to be working, right? Twitter? No. Yahoo? Nah. Facebook? Ew, but also no. YouTube? Of course not. It was Google related. Amazon? Nope. Twitch? Yes. Nah, man. Twitch! Twitch was still working. Lily perked up immediately. She never really cared that much for streaming content. It was too involved for what she usually wanted from media, but it was something. She clicked around to find something to watch. Not really thinking about it, then suddenly something occurred to her. There were probably archived streams from the night it all happened, right? So she went looking. It wasn't too hard to find. She just looked at big creators until one had an achieved stream from a few days ago that was way too long. She opened it up and started clicking around the timeline. And then Lily wasn't sure what she had been expecting. She was bound to find footage of this sooner or later. If it wasn't Twitch, she had already been thinking of finding a place with security cameras and going through logs to see what happened. But this was, well, somehow a letdown. It was so simple. 1 second the streamer on screen was talking with a silly voice to his audience, and the next, he was just gone. Not a flash, not a sound, no indication of anything. One frame he was there, the next he wasn't. There was silence. The video went on for over 6 more hours, and there was just nothing. The repetitive music of the game he was playing kept going, even with nothing notably happening on screen. It could have been the same 30-second clip on repeat, until it just sort of ended. That was it. They just vanished. It was so anticlimactic. It was almost worse than a gory explosion, or a scream, or something. No. I was just like, she hasn't downloaded any porn that we know of. I don't know why. I was just like, because I was thinking, it's like, okay, this is other people. And it's like, why? Because then I was like, maybe she wants videos of other people. Then it's like, but because this is more raw, you know, like people, not like acting people. But I was like, because she has the TV shows and everything. But then I kind of forgot that when I was thinking about this. And then I was like, why would she want people? And then I was like, oh no. And I was like, no. All the porn is gone. Oh, fuck. Bye. When everybody gets isekai except you, mass isekai. Yep, it's a mass isekai. Except for you. But there was nothing. No answers to be had. Lily turned off her phone and lay back on the couch. She regretted looking for it. Led her last connection to how the world used to be something easier to handle, like downloading a poorly named collection of retro games. The old-fashioned way. Yes, because we all raided sex shops back in the days. Go to Japan. See, she needs Google Maps. I'm telling you, she needs the world map. See, it's important now all of a sudden. She let out a sigh. She just wanted to go home. Back to the way things used to be. She was objectively better off now in a lot of ways. She'd made serious progress in just days of work. She was just sad, lonely, disconnected. She just wanted to not worry about anything for a little bit. She wandered to the center of her living room and laid down for a while staring at the ceiling, and just let her mind wander for a while. Minutes passed, then hours. She had music playing on the TV, but had long since stopped paying attention to it. Bay was on the floor next to her, and Star was sleeping on the sofa. The sound of the somewhat melancholy rock was really setting the mood. Gone. It was gone. The loss was visceral. Lily had not known it was coming, but she didn't expect it to affect her so badly. She didn't want to move. She didn't want to think. She felt more disconnected and alone than ever, despite her companions being right here. I feel a phone alarm coming up. Maybe, hopefully. She had an idea, a thought, a desire. She knew it would hurt, but some self-destructive part of her wanted that right now. Hey, Star. She spoke, not moving from laying across the floor. She heard him look up. Wanna go for a trip? I wanna go home. Ooh, okay. I wonder if it's home to the apartment or home to maybe like her parent, like her old, like her other home. It wasn't a terribly long drive to Lily's old apartment building. Well, I guess it's I guess it's her apartment. The hard part was doing it with one good hand, but that wasn't impossible. She took it slow. Between her injuries and the energy it took to heal, she was still feeling dead on her feet. But driving isn't too tiring. Star was buckled carefully into the passenger seat. Lily still wasn't sure what she was expecting. After all, it was almost certainly burned to the ground. She was just feeling lost and emotional, and her instincts were telling her to just go back home. She hoped when she saw it, her dumb, emotional brain would finally understand that it wasn't an option. Driving through a scorched wasteland for so long was really making her feel like she was in a post-apocalyptic movie. After the bombs had dropped or something. She pulled into the lot that used to be her home. It was ash. Of course it was. She hadn't really expected anything else. She could make out the courtyard and where the buildings had stood. 2 huge piles of concrete and rebar were what was left. And of course, the ashes. She parked, got out, and left the door open for Star. There was nothing here, obviously. So why had she felt like she needed to be here? Closure? I used to live here, Star. Right up there. She pointed to roughly where her apartment had been. It's all gone now, though. All the people, all the stars, my whole life. Not that I really had one. She was in a dark mindset. What was she even doing here? She knew she was caught in a depressive spiral, but it didn't matter anymore. She came to see this because she wanted to. Might as well see it. So she approached the rubble and looked for a way to climb up. It wasn't that hard. Plenty of rebar for handholds, and enough rubble that she never had to pull herself higher than waist height for the next bit. It had only been a 3-story building, and now it was pretty spread out. Star was barking up at her from the ground. She knew this was a mistake. It was dangerous, but she didn't care right now. She was being destructive? Fine, let's be destructive. She just had to see it. What had become of her old life? She had never had a strong connection to the world, but this had been her own place, her one place. And feeling like she did, she just wanted it back. She was being childish, but it was too late to listen to the voice of reason. What if she died? What if she died? Star might be sad for a day or two. He's a smart dog. He'd live. Probably. And if not, did that even matter? One more dead animal on a rotting world. Let it all decay. Lily felt like her body was an autopilot. A part of her, the normal, reasonable part, railed against this, but was stupid. This was stupid. It was childish. It was dangerous. It was self-destructive. She wanted to scream and cry, but apart from that small piece of her, she felt calm, in the eye of her own personal storm of despair. So she climbed. It was hard with one hand, and a few times she had to use her bad hand despite its condition. After using both hands to pull herself up on a counter-sized piece of concrete, she looked down and saw she'd left a small splotch of blood. But it didn't matter. It would heal up, or it wouldn't. She had to snap out of this, but she didn't have the energy to fight it anymore. She made it up the last bit. She had only climbed about 20 feet, and it hadn't been that difficult. The building had really been flattened. Now that she was on top of the pile, she saw an uneven surface. A lot of concrete at all sorts of different angles, holes that she couldn't tell the depth of, a twisted mess of rebar. Falling into a piece of that could kill her. But also, it was wet. She looked around. Up ahead there was a spot where water was falling. Looking up, she couldn't see a source. It was like a light rain, just in that spot. Not from a cloud or anything, just rain. Out of nowhere. A spooky spot? She didn't want to deal with this right now. Annoyance filled her. She just wanted to be self-destructive in peace, but even that was apparently too much to ask. She continued forward, deciding it was fine to get rained on. She just wanted to see if she could find something, anything of her old life. She knew she wouldn't. She just wanted to crawl into the shell of what used to be her apartment and go to sleep for a very long time. That was insane. The quiet part of her was screaming in her head, but it was too quiet to matter now. She approached the source of the water. It was falling from the sky, right into a hole that dropped about 10 feet into the rubble. The sound of running water was all around her as it poured down onto the concrete and dripped down into the hollows that used to be people's homes. Her home. She could just jump in. She could just jump in. Lily closed her eyes and stood there for a very long time. Will she jump in? The water was pouring down her. It was like standing in a shower, but not quite as intense. The water was cold, but it was refreshing. She could feel it hitting her face. She could feel her hair getting weighed down and sticking to her face. She could hear the water flowing and flowing. Has it been like this since the fire? She took a deep breath in and let it out. The water. She could feel it. The sensation of it soaking through her was grounding her. Yes, this was reality. She was here. She was alive. She existed. She opened her eyes. The water was pouring down. It seemed like it had gotten stronger since she arrived. It was almost a storm now, despite the blue skies. It felt like the turmoil in her heart had poured out and made the rain more intense. Rain had always grounded her somewhat, and here it was, artificial or not. The water was beautiful, pouring into the gaping hole from all different angles. She sat down on the slab she was on. She was soaked through, but it didn't matter. She was herself again, still hurting, still feeling hollowed out on the inside, but present. Grounded. The calmness that had just been her outer shell a few minutes ago was now truly in her heart. She shivered. It was cold. But right now, the cold was bringing her back to reality. It felt real. It was helping her feel real too. She shouldn't have come here. But she was here now. She looked down. Her hand was bleeding again, but not too badly. She was feeling a little woozy again, and that wasn't surprising. She shouldn't have climbed up here, but she had been stuck in it, drowning. It was good to be free of that. She didn't even have to explain her actions to anyone, except maybe Star. She blinked. He was okay, right? She'd lost track of how long she had been up here. Rising, Lily turned to start heading back. She'd remembered this spooky spot was here and come investigate when she was healed. Honestly, she couldn't believe how stupid she'd been to come here in the first place. It felt like she'd been in a trance. She stood carefully, plotting her path back to the ledge where she could climb down, but the second she took a step, she slipped. She hit the ground hard. The impact shifted the slab she'd been on. Deep breaths. She slipped. She hit the ground hard. The impact shifted the slab she'd been sitting on, tilting it slightly further towards the hole. The water was pouring into the hole, and she started sliding down the concrete towards it. She scrambled for a grip, but it was smooth concrete. She was going to go over the ledge. At the last second, she saw a piece of rebar and grabbed it. Instinctually, she used her dominant hand. Her bad hand. She caught on it for a second, screamed in pain, and slipped again. For one terrible second, she saw the lip of the opening getting further away. Thump! Everything went black. Okay. Chapter 20. The water falling on her forehead woke her up. For a second, she didn't remember where she was, and then it all came rushing back to her. The pit. She was in the pit. She snapped awake and sat up. Immediately, she was thankful she could sit up and hadn't injured herself too badly. She wondered how long she had been down here. She was soaked through, but she had been before she fell, right? She was cold, but not as cold as when she fell asleep on the boat deck. It was dark in here, but she looked up. Darkness above as well. It had already been evening when she got here, so that didn't tell her as much as she'd like. She groaned. Her head was pounding out of her skull. She felt around her surroundings. She was sitting on a concrete slab, tilted slightly so that her feet were lower than her head. It was wet, but not underwater. She couldn't even see the opening above her, because there was no stars to help with light. Lily pulled out her phone. It wouldn't turn on. Was it broken from the fall? Flooded with the water? Or just out of batteries? She couldn't tell down here. Her body didn't want to move. Lily took a deep breath. Okay, how was she going to get out of this? Wait. Lily laughed. Wait. Lily laughed. That was absurd. How was she going to get out of this? Why did she feel more capable of getting through this than she had of getting through a day at home earlier? Always prepared for the end of the world. Can't take a Tuesday. That's me. How was she going to get out of here? She couldn't even see to find a way out. It was too dark. Even if she could, she was in a pit. She remembered it being shaped like a vase or an urn. Small hole on top, but bowed out walls. So she couldn't imagine there was a way to just climb straight up, especially with them being wet. How deep was the water anyway? Hell, where did the water begin? Was it safe to be in or full of sharp rebar? Yet she didn't feel as hopeless as earlier. She was already level 8 in clearing life or death scenarios. It was when nothing was going on that she was really scared. She almost giggled at her own thoughts. Okay, maybe she was also not thinking quite clearly. Her head really hurt. She was starting to wonder if there was some persistent magical effect on her too. Like, had she been recovering from injuries faster than normal? At no point had she been not injured at all since this all began, but even dire issues seemed to make her non-functional for a day, and just messed up the next. How could she measure that? Lily shook her head. Not the time for that, Lily. Have good thoughts when you're not dying. Well, first she needed light. How did she get light? Fish around and hope for a flashlight? Like that would happen. She edged closer to the top of her concrete, feeling around for a dry spot. No such luck. Well, it looked like she'd have to get down and hope the water wasn't too deep. If she could find her way under the ceiling, she might be able to find a dry spot. Lily lowered herself carefully down from her slab, feeling around. Her ankles entered the water, then up to her knees. She had just decided maybe this was a bad idea when she slipped off and fell in. Thankfully, it stopped at her thighs. She let out a little yelp as she sank in and could hear it echo around her. Well, now she had at least some idea of how big the room was. 15 feet across, maybe? She wasn't sure. Large, but not huge. She took a few careful steps. The ground was uneven. She had a horrible mental image of her weight causing the ground to buckle, and the force of the water pulling her through a new hole full of sharp metal and rough concrete into deep water and… Nope, no thinking about that. Careful steps. She continued along carefully, feeling around with her hands as best she could. There! She found another piece to crawl up onto. This one was under the roof, so it was dry. Once she was up out of the water and not being rained on, Lily stopped to breathe. She wished she had some light. She was so cold. Could she start a fire? Not with her wet clothes. What about magic? She didn't have anything to write with. She could try scratching a circle into the rock, but she wouldn't be able to see what she was doing and it would take a long time. She might lose track of what she had already drawn. If only she had chalk or paint or… Oh. Her stomach lurched. Lily had an idea, but she didn't like it. Still, it would help a lot and she didn't need to draw a big circle. Is it blood? Don't. What would she need? She thought about it. Gather mana to have something to run the spell on. A capacitor to make sure it didn't grow out of control easily. Then just flame, right? Gather mana, capacitor, flame. 3 glyphs. A circle with 3 smaller circles connected by a triangle. Inside each node, a glyph. She thought she could do that, and she'd have heat and light. Then she could work from there. This is going to suck real bad. Oh, I hate this. This is terrible idea. This is a terrible idea. Lily gritted her teeth and undid the bandage on her injured hand. Yep. Blood magic. She took a deep breath and pushed her good index finger into the center of her wound. Pain exploded through her hand. She tried to push it down, but she let out a pained cry. Outside, she heard a howl. Star must have been able to hear her. He'd waited all this time? He must have been driving himself mad trying to figure out how to help. She called out. Good boy. I'm okay. I'll figure this out and be out in no time. Just wait for me. Just wait for me, Star. Lily redoubled her efforts. She pushed harder, ignoring the pain. Blood. She could draw the circle in blood. It was hard to know how much she needed, so she pressed hard and made sure she could feel it on her finger. This was a terrible idea. But it was going to work. She could feel it. She drew out the circle from memory. It wasn't hard. She had a clear image of it in her mind's eye. She just had to focus. She pushed herself. Focus, focus. Draw it. Then, whoosh. In the center of her little circle, drawn in blood, a flame sprouted. Lily backed up in case it got too big, but it didn't. It grew slowly until the money was able to pull in, leveled out. Warmth washed over her, and she was able to see. She looked around the room. It was about as she expected. In the center of the room, she could see the slab she had originally landed on, with rain falling on it from above. The rest of the room was shaped more or less like a donut around it, but the hole in the roof was at least 10 feet up. Even if she jumped and was strong enough to pull herself up, she'd never jump high enough. Also, the water was weird. Dark shapes jutted out of it. The metal frame of what seemed to be a sofa, a kitchen fridge, a broken TV, but there was something about the water itself too. She took a minute to let her eyes adjust. It was moving, flowing but not going anywhere. The water had a current. It was flowing in a perfect circle, not like a whirlpool, but just flowing, slowly. Then Lily saw why. She was sitting inside a magic circle. Was that why this room was this shape? It covered the entire room. It was made of whatever the circle around the original ever-burning flame was made of. Something immaterial. Concentrated mana? It was also a lot bigger than any circle she'd seen before. It was 4 concentric rings. 3 seemed to be connected, and the 4th one around all of them wasn't connected. It was running independently. Taking a closer look, it seemed almost like this was really clumsily put together. Her ever-burning flame looked like a masterpiece compared to this. Glyphs were haphazardly placed in no clear order, but it was creating a working spell. +1 for the theory that the ones in nature aren't optimal, I guess. But what is it doing exactly? Something with the water. Lily tried to read it, but there were a lot of glyphs she didn't know. In a normal situation, that would be a huge win. But right now, she didn't want to mess with anything she didn't understand. She wanted to get out of the pit. Well, first things first. Lily removed her shirt and found a sharp piece of rebar to poke a hole. Then she tore until she got a strip of fabric and rewrapped her wound. She wouldn't have it festering if she could avoid it. She'd need to clean it really well when she got home. When she got home. Look at me, being all pathetic, optimistic and stuff. Now, what do you do, Circle? She tried to make out some of the glyphs. On the plus side, some of them were not that hard to figure out. One was droplets shaped like the Gather Ambient Mana glyph, and another was wavy lines in that same shape. She would work off the assumption that it was Gather Water and Gather Air for now, since that seemed like a really safe bet. That meant the inner circle was just a bunch of water. Water. Why can I not speak? Say water. Hello? That meant the inner circle was just a bunch of gather water. It's something. Gather water is hard to say. Ugh. Okay, I got it now. That meant the inner circle was just a bunch of gather water glyphs, then outputting that to the second ring. Sure, not too hard. The next circle was going to be key. It had a lot of stuff Lily was going to have to guess at. The first node at least seemed to be gather air. After that, something to do with air and water. At least it had the droplets and the wavy pattern. It was maybe mixing them up? After that, the real mystery began. It was a mess of arrows, a different mess of arrows, and then the first one again. It was moving the stuff around a lot. That didn't seem to make a lot of sense. Okay, well, what was the spell doing? It had water and water was falling from the air. Why was it falling instead of just gathering in the center of the circle? Was this ring making it do that? Or was it making the water flow in circles? If she had to guess, it was making the water fall. If only because the arrows on the glyphs didn't seem to be pointing in a circular direction. They were more inward than that. So she decided the second ring was making the water rain. She just didn't know how. The third one was just a new mess of arrows, and the middle one from the second circle. This is so stupid and confusing. How am I supposed to figure this out while trying to get out of this stupid pit? I hate this. She heard barking from outside and tried to calm her tone. No, no, it's okay, Star. I'm okay. I'll figure it out. I just need to think. So she thought. The second circle made the rain. The third circle must be doing the circular flow then. And the final ring just seemed to be doing something with mana. It was disconnected from all the other ones, but seemed to be pushing a ton of mana into this area. Oh. She whirled and looked at her fire spell, but the capacitor was keeping it from overflowing. She breathed a sigh of relief. Okay, so it gathers water and then mixes it with air to make mist, I guess? Then that mist needs to go up so it can fall, right? So whatever this is doing, it's pushing the mist up. That made sense to her, and it was promising. If it could push mist into the sky, maybe it could push her out or something she was holding onto up out of the hole, too. I think the glyph present in both rings must be for pushing things, because that would explain the movement of the water both times. What chooses the direction, I wonder? It's the same glyph. Maybe it's like the capacitor glyph that can be set. More importantly, she didn't have enough blood to draw a bunch of circles figuring this out. All of the spells she'd found had been made of mana. Could she do that? How? Well, she'd made changes to spells like that a few times. It had been as simple as closing her eyes, feeling it out, and really holding an image of what she wanted it to be in her mind. Could it be done with a whole circle? Well, there was one way to find out. She was certain the fire spell she had set up was safe, so she would duplicate that first. She closed her eyes and focused. See the lines. A circle with a triangle inside. At the points of the triangle, 3 more circles. Nodes. Inside the nodes, glyphs. Gather ambient mana, capacitor, flame. Imagine the full circle. Every little detail. She could feel it. The same feeling she'd gotten when she'd made a small edits to them in the past. But still nothing was happening. She pulled on that feeling hard. It was there. It was real. It wasn't all in her head. Pull on it and push it into her mental image. See how the mana should flow around the circle. See how it should function. See how... whoosh! A flame sprouted into being. It sat on the surface of the water, right where she had imagined it. Around it, she could feel the circle she had made. It was there. She opened her mouth to shear. Her head started spinning. Oh, she did not feel good at all of a sudden. She lay back on her concrete slab, gasping. She felt like she had just run a marathon. All the energy drained out of her in a second. It took her a few minutes to catch her breath. What the fuck was that? She felt like she already knew, though. She had formed a circle from mana. It had come from somewhere. She felt tired after. It just made too much sense. She'd created a circle with her mana. But that took an absurd amount of her own energy to do. How was that fair? It was such a simple spell. With shock, she could have drawn it out in 2 minutes. Wait. She was still breathing hard, but if that's how it worked... I'm getting lost in the sauce. Wait. She was still breathing hard. But if that's how it worked, there could be a pretty simple solution to get her energy right back, right? So she focused on creating another circle. This one around her. 3 glyphs, nice and easy. Gather ambient mana, capacitor, low output, infuse mana. She pictured how mana would flow into the circle, be diffused by the capacitor into the environment if it wasn't used, and a small amount would flow into her directly, like it had with the wood in the ever-burning flame. That should fix it, right? She pulled. It was easier this time, despite how tired it was. Like moving a limb she hadn't known was there. Now she knew how. She pulled. She formed the circle. She let go. She doubled over, wheezing, trying to catch her breath. She should have waited another few minutes. But after a few seconds, she was already starting to feel better. It was like she just downed an energy drink even. She knew not a lot of mana was actually flowing into her, because she'd turned the capacitor way down, so it really surprised her how fast she was feeling better. Actually, it really was like an energy drink. Her heart was beating pretty fast. It was a little uncomfortable even. Okay, time to turn that off. Lily wasn't taking any chances with that. Yeah, she will explode. She focused on breaking the circle. It took another 10 seconds, but the circle broke and dissolved just like she wanted. She took a deep breath and opened her eyes. The world looked like it was spinning? Oh no. Vertigo hit her like a truck. Her stomach roiled. The world was spinning. She scrambled over to the edge of the slab she was on and she threw up. The world was still spinning, but not quite as badly. She had to figure out something to do. She had to get it out of her. Concentrate, concentrate. She couldn't concentrate. She felt so sick and it was only getting worse. The fire spell. She'd done that one twice now. She could do it again. She closed her eyes again and focused as hard as she could. She drew the first circle in her mind. It was like opening a bloated expired milk carton inside herself. The pressure dislodged as she pulled, and it felt disgusting and horrible. But she held it. She formed the circle. She pulled for the mana, and it was there. She felt a tiny, tiny bit of relief. She opened her eyes. A new flame was growing, but she didn't feel all that better. She needed to get it out of her. Maybe it didn't take a lot, but her capacity was just tiny. How could she use enough to not be exhausted or overfull? An idea struck her. She focused again. One more circle. This time, no mana gathering, no capacitor, just flame. A one-note spell. She formed it in her mind, nice and easy. She imagined the circle forming. Fire, flame. Just the one glyph. Let the mana flow out of her and into the circle. Not just the creation of it, but the circle itself. She pulled it out of herself and pushed. She could feel it forming. The mana took shape, but it was still inside her. It hurt. It was like an electric fire running through her veins. She didn't know how to let it out, but she knew what she wanted, so she willed it to happen. She held out a hand and focused on letting it go through her palm. There was a small whoosh as a burst of flame left her hand. It burned, but only for a second. She yelped and shook her hand in the cool air. God damn, why does learning have to hurt so much? She whined to herself. She felt better though. Not good by any means, but no longer on death's door in either direction. That was good enough for now. But I'm still no closer to getting out of here. Am I gonna die in here? Lily needed a break. It wasn't ideal, but at least she had her fire. She laid out close enough to keep warm. I hope Star is okay. I also hope Star is okay. Well, that's how it went with the I should relax today and stay inside today day. I should just train my dog today. I should just go home today. I should just fall into a pit today. Oh well. So now it's first it was Star training arc, and now it's Lily training arc in a pit, learning magic. Lily's super bad at downtime. Poor girl immediately fell down a depressive hole the moment she wasn't dying, and now she's dying. Well, I hope she'll make it out. She will make it out. It would be amazing. The rest of the novel is just Lily in the pit and Star outside of the pit. Hell yeah. Yeah, we will see how she gets out of this pit next time. Which is also tomorrow. Stretch. Now let me save my notes. So now they are saved, and I will also remember to bookmark this. That I didn't do last time. And I didn't even realize you could bookmark it down there, so that's nice. Now, I will piss. And then I will think about if I would rather want to play some Monster Hunter or if we do some shiny hunting and singing today. We will see when I come back very soon. Very soon. 4 a.m. Holy shit. Thank you for coming to the stream. I appreciate it. I hope you have a good night, morning. And yes, we will be reading some more tomorrow again. Thank you, Shane. Thank you. Now, what do we do? I have not figured it out yet. Shocker, I know. Big shocker. I have a hard time making decisions for anything. Anything. Hmm. Eh, I'll do some shiny hunting. Fuck it. We'll restart the stream real quick and stop YouTube stream because YouTube angry. Yep, that's what I will do. That's what I want to do. Haha. Now I'll restart real quick. Please refresh if you want to stay. Thank you. Bye, VOD viewers. Thank you for watching, VOD viewers. Follow me on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, TikTok, and join the Discord server. Yay! Okay, quick refresh.